Welcome back, guys. Welcome back. Come sit by the fireplace. Lend me your ear and listen. This is the Othersyde podcast. Brought to you by our YouTube channel, Arrow Entertainment. And you might also be listening to us on our TikTok channel, Arrow Entertainment as well. And uploaded on our Twitch streaming platform, our Twitch channel, twitch.tv/ArrowENT. Now, with all the articles, with all the stories, everything that I read upon here, if you guys want to check them out, a lot of these articles that I find on the internet, I have them copy and paste it into our Discord. We have a section in our Discord under podcast leftovers titled The Othersyde Scraps. If you guys wish to follow up with us and read along with us, click that link down below in the description section. If you're on Discord, join us on Discord today and keep up. So, welcome back to The Othersyde with me, as we look into something interesting today. What is a spirit? What is a ghost? What is an entity? What is a phantom? Are they all one and the same? Are they all the same beings? Do they all hurt? Are they all friendly? Are any of them evil? Why do they wander our earth on the other side when one perishes and crosses over? Do they truly go to heaven? Do they go to hell? Do they remain here? We have no idea. But I will say, to those who don't believe, go out to one of these spots, anywhere in America, anywhere in the world, that is said to have been haunted. Believe your own two eyes. Believe your own two ears. Be open to it, but don't be ignorant to it. Today we're taking a look at different types of spirits and ghosts. We're taking a look at different entities. Yes, there are more than one entity, more than one different type of spirit or being out there. And how do we distinct different spirits from one another? We're taking a look at on wikihow.com a list of about 30 plus different types of spirits for today's episode. This is a beginner's guide to common ghosts and spirits. A ghost is a spiritual or a spirit of a deceased person or animal who has not moved on to the afterlife. Ghosts may appear in a living to be living, or they may appear to the living in a number of forms. And there are countless types of ghosts found all around the world. If you know more all about all of these spooky apparitions, if you want to know more about them, let's keep reading the article. In this article, we'll tell you everything you need to know about the most common types of ghosts, plus ghostly mythology and folklore from cultures all across the globe. But mind you, there are things to know, or that you should know. Interactive personalities are ghosts that communicate with the living, like deceased loved ones and historical figures. Poltergeists are mischievous spirits that move things around and make repetitive noises. They are typically attached to a person. And ghosts may appear as orbs, mists, or funnels of light before becoming full-bodied apparitions. These spirits do have interactive personalities. This category includes any ghost that can interact with the living world. They're intelligent and self-aware and can appear physically, audibly, or telepathically. They may be able to touch people or objects and create smells that were associated with them, like perfume or tobacco. Frequently, these are a deceased friend or family member, though they may occasionally be a stranger. When seen by a loved one, these sightings are typically a farewell or an attempt to console the grieving. Historical ghosts are also a type of interactive personality. These are historical figures who must be identifiable to the observer, like Abraham Lincoln, for example. These ghosts are usually tied to a specific location and have been seen numerous times by different people over the years. Take an example, the Gettysburg area. There are several different parts of Gettysburg. No matter where you are during the day or during the nighttime, the reenactments of the battle still occur to this day. The heavy sounds of cannons firing, the smell of gunpowder, the smell of burlap on a little lake that rides underneath Sox Bridge. Ghostly figures that form in a mist over this lake. I know, I have seen it with my own two eyes. It is also possible for an interactive personality to remain anonymous. Common example is seeing an unknown soldier on a battlefield. Usually these spirits are angry, confused, or scared when encountering the living. Encounters with interactive personalities can be a positive or negative, depending on the ghost's demeanor. They can be loving and warm, or angry and frightened. Here's a pro tip for you guys. If you want to communicate with ghosts via a Ouija board, it is important to stay safe. Paranormal expert Jennifer McVeigh says to close off the energy, or close off your energy. If you ask your higher self to be the guide, then the spirit doesn't actually have to get in your body. It can be outside of your body, an energy field, and it can communicate with you. Let's begin with the list of different spirits of the paranormal. Starting with, which is the most typical one to be a reoccurring thing. And this can happen to anybody, anywhere, and it can pop up at any time. And it can stay vacant for a number of minutes, hours, days, sometimes even years, before just disappearing without a trace. And these are poltergeists. The term poltergeist comes from the German word of noisy ghost. Unlike other types of ghosts, poltergeists often throw and move objects, make repetitive noises, and cause havoc and mischief for the person or place that they are haunting. In general, poltergeists are relatively harmless, but just inconvenient. Usually a poltergeist attaches itself to a person and follows them in different locations. Typically, they feed off of the energy and emotions of children and teenagers. While poltergeists are generally nothing more than an annoyance, they have occasionally been reports of them attacking people. Some people believe that the person being haunted is actually using telekinesis unconsciously, and the haunting is a result of their abilities rather than of an actual ghost. And that can be a confusing thing at times. There are people out there that do have the ability to be able to move and manipulate objects. It's very rare, but when it does happen, you'll know. Residual ghosts. Residual ghosts are tied to a specific location, usually associated with a traumatic event or emotional experience. These ghosts replay the particular moment from their life over and over again. Almost sort of like a Crybaby Bridge kind of thing, where you drive on that bridge one night and every night it's the same thing that happens over and over again. Where the spirit of a young teenage girl is waiting for her ride to pick her up. Then you see a ghostly car swing by, or maybe you're the car. Maybe you're the vehicle that's coming by to pick her up. She gets in your car, you drive off, she gets out, and then she disappears. Or sometimes while you're driving, she disappears altogether. And that same spirit recollects the same thing every single night, replays the same events. According to the stone tape theory, these ghosts are like tape recordings. They're mental impressions from a traumatic event that are projected onto objects in the form of energy to be replayed in certain conditions. Residual ghosts are sometimes called imprints as well, because they're imprinted to a specific place and pattern of behavior. Sometimes these ghosts may only appear on the anniversary of the significant event, like their death. These are called cyclic ghosts. I hope I'm pronouncing that word like cyclic, Cyclice. You guys can feel free to correct me down in the comment section. There's a pro tip for dealing with residual ghosts. To overcome your fear of ghosts, ask yourself where the fear comes from. Paranormal expert Jennifer McVeigh says sometimes when you're terrified of ghosts, you actually might be picking up on a ghost's feelings more than your own. Ectoplasm and mist ghosts. I've never seen anything like this, but I have seen mist ghosts. As I was stated before, I recollect my events from Sox Bridge. Sox Bridge was one of those places in Gettysburg where at night, at a certain time of night, you can hear and see these spirits underneath the bridge. Ectoplasm and mist ghosts. These spirits appear as a swirling mist or fog, usually floating several feet off the ground. Sometimes this ghostly fog appears before becoming a full-bodied apparition. Mist ghosts can appear almost anywhere and are frequently spotted in graveyards, battlefields, and historic locations. As I stated before, seeing certain beings on the water underneath Sox Bridge in Gettysburg. Just seeing the mist before figures formed within the mist and you see them. But then you begin to smell the odor of wet burlap, wet clothing, coming up the side hill that hit us. Funnel ghosts. I've never experienced this. Frequently found in homes or old buildings, these spirits take the form of swirling funnel or vortex and are often associated with cold spots. Many believe that these are former residents or loved ones returning to visit. When caught on camera, funnel ghosts are often appear as a wisp or a spiral of light. And then you got what anybody would be able to capture on camera. Orbs. Orbs are frequently photographed balls of light that are believed to be the souls of the deceased. An orb is often the first form from a ghost takes before it becomes a full-body apparition. And orbs can form just about anywhere. Even if you play video games such as the Phasmophobia video game where it takes you into the world of ghost hunting. You can see these orbs floating around in several different areas before they do take an actual form. Living ghosts. While extremely rare, living ghosts are manifestations of a living person who is currently in a different location. Sometimes the living person is in danger and their spirit has returned to a safe space or came to warn a loved one of danger. Since these events are rare and non-reoccurring, they cannot be thoroughly studied. Another type of living ghost is the moment of death ghost. The spirit of a dying person may appear before a loved one before they are officially passed on, and the loved one will realize it was at that moment of their death when they received the news that the person has passed away. There have been tales of this. There have been stories of this. Maybe not in major or local news, but there have been people who have witnessed these accounts where they have seen somebody before them in a dream or in person, and then moments later or days later find out that they have passed on. Inanimate object ghosts. Sometimes considered a type of residual ghost, inanimate object ghosts are a manifestation of an object without a soul. Some common sightings include the ghostly appearance of old ships and trains that no longer exist. Usually these vehicles met a tragic end. These phenomena are usually rare and non-reoccurring. Some often or other common inanimate object ghosts include weapons, jewelry, dolls, and any items that move or act on its own, like a television turning itself on. However, some argue these hauntings can only result in being a poltergeist. Yes, there are some that do reoccur. Have you ever been on Erie Road at night and you see a mysterious car appear somewhere and then disappear? Yes, it can happen. And I have seen this once or twice myself here. Even experienced it. Animal ghosts. These ghosts are the spirits of deceased animals. Animal ghosts are more often pets visiting their owners, though wild and ferocious dogs are often reported to haunt crossroads and frighten passerbys. Let's go on to the Asian ghost section, apparently. The Buddhas, or the Buddhas. In Indian mythology, a Buddha is a restless ghost that is prevented from moving on to the next life. This may be because they have suffered a violent death, they have unfinished business, or because their living family did not perform the proper funerary rites. They generally take the form of a human, though you could tell they're ghosts because their feet are backwards. Damn, I never heard of a spirit with backwards feet. That's gotta be something. The Petra. Petra translated as the hungry ghost. Petra are found in Buddhist, Hindu, and Chinese folklore. These spirits undergo extreme suffering like insatiable hunger because they were excessively greedy in life. Traditionally, Petra crave disgusting or humiliating substance, like corpses or feces. Damn. Then we got the Onryo. In Japan, an Onryo is a vengeful ghost that causes harm to the living and can even create natural disasters to get vengeance. They're often depicted as wronged women and are extremely bloodthirsty and cruel. When a spirit holds too much hatred, it separates from the body and becomes an Onryo. This often happens when someone dies of an unnatural or untimely death. The Fiam. In Thailand, the Fiam is a spirit that sits on a person's chest at night and causes sleep paralysis and nightmares. Fiam tend to prefer male victims to female, so men sometimes dress up as women to try to avoid them. Over here we call that the Hag, as some people will call it the Hag. But most studies that are done by a lot of physicians and such will consider that a person has suffered sleep paralysis in this nature, while some of those people tend to relive or reenact certain moments or recounter certain moments. Yeah, I guess that's recounter, where they talk about laying there still, can't breathe, can't move, eyes wide open, and they see a figure sitting on top of them, and it lasts for several seconds or several minutes. Let's move on to African ghosts. The Madam Koi Koi. In the popular Nigerian urban legend, Madam Koi Koi is a ghost who wears red high heels and haunts the halls of schools. At night, she wanders the halls of the school and the dormitories during the day. She haunts the bathrooms, she attacks misbehaving students, and can often be heard whistling or singing. The name Koi Koi comes from the sound her high heels make when she's walking around. One version of the legend states that Madam Koi Koi was an abusive teacher in life, so her students come together to kill her. After her death, the students began disappearing one by one. Every time one went missing, the students could hear Madame Koi Koi walking. Let me get something I'm going to try to pronounce. Amadalozi. Amadlozi. I guess that's how you pronounce it. Amadlozi. If I'm pronouncing it wrong, please let me know in the comment section. These spirits are protected spirits and ancestors of the Guni people in Africa. The Guni, or Zulu, people believe that these spirits can be summoned for assistance and often lead them to a life of purpose and integrity. The Guni people believe that their connection with these spirits is their closest link to God. Igbari. The Yoruba mythology, Igbari is an evil spirit who frequents the woods and roams around at night. It is described as being short in stature, and often carries a mat and is always in tears. It's often believed if you manage to take a mat from the Igbari, you'll receive unimaginable riches. Ogbanje. In Igbo folklore, oh, that's a tongue twister. The Ogbanje are evil spirits that plague families with misfortune, literally translated as children who come and go. The Ogbane are similar to changelings in Celtic mythology. They take the form of children and deliberately die young to be reborn as the family's next child and repeat the cycle over and over again. The Dybbuk. In Jewish folklore, a Dybbuk is an evil spirit who possesses a living person, clings to their soul, and causes pain and mental illness. A common explanation is that a Dybbuk is a spirit who was not properly laid to rest and become a demon. You might know that word Dybbuk by watching certain movies, especially one titled The Possession, starring, what was his name from The Walking Dead who played Negan? Oh god, I am having a major brain fart right now, guys. I am so sorry. I am sitting here and I cannot, I just cannot think for myself right now. There we go. Jeffrey Dean Morgan. I don't even know why I forgot what his name was. Jeffrey Dean Morgan. He played in the movie The Possession, where it was based upon true events or a true story, but later on proven to be false in nature. Talking about a Dybbuk box that held a very evil spirit. Which, in Jewish folklore are actual things. If there are Jewish spirits, evil spirits, they can be captured and held in what's called a Dybbuk box, which holds them in place. Almost kind of like when you look in the Ed and Lorraine Museum at the Annabelle doll, which is enclosed in a casing, which is said to not mock or not touch or open the case. Ifrit. I guess that's how you pronounce it. An Ifrit is a powerful demon or spirit in Islamic folklore. They're frequently associated with the underworld and spirits of the dead, and they sometimes inhabit ruins and temples. Sometimes considered a type of jinn, they frequently appear as enormous creatures with wings and horns. Let's move on to some European ghosts. The Banshee. The Banshee is a female Irish spirit who appears as an omen or a harbinger of death. When the Banshee is heard waiting or singing lament, someone in the family has died or will die soon. While most commonly known to predict death, Banshees may also serve as an omen for other misfortunes. The Doppelganger. Now this seems to be all around type of spirit that has been mentioned from time and time again, especially with people that I have known. A doppelganger is a ghostly double of a living person. The term comes from the German Doppel and Ganger, which together means double walker. Seeing your doppelganger often predicts illness, death, or another tragedy. Doppelgangers may also be a spirit taking on someone's form to cause mischief. Doppelgangers may be seen copying a person's movement like a shadow, or performing the movements before the actual person does them. They may also appear in a mirror with a reflection facing away. Some legends state that doppelgangers kill or imprison the person they're impersonating so that they can take over their lives. The Shade. In ancient Greece, shades were spirits of the dead residing in the underworld. The spirits appear as intangible shadows, hence the name Shades. Shades appear in numerous pieces of literature, including Homer's The Odyssey and Dante's Divine Comedy. The White Lady. The White Lady, or the Lady in White, is a female spirit who wears a white dress and is associated with tragedy. Frequently, these stories involve accidental death, murder, or suicide, and feature themes of requited love and betrayal. Sometimes the appearance of the White Lady means that there will be death in the family. White Lady, or white ladies, as it's said. Okay, wild white ladies. I am so tired, guys. Sorry about that. Wild white ladies are most frequently associated with Europe. They have been spotted all over the world, including parts of the United States and Asia. Now we're moving on to some North and South American ghosts, and one of them, there was a movie that was recently released within the last 10 years about this spirit, the La Leona. Literally translated as the Weeping Woman, La Leona is a very vengeful Latin American ghost who lingers near bodies of water, mourning the children she drowned after discovering her husband was cheating on her. While her story differs, depending on the culture and location, it's typically told to scare children into behaving. This one has been seen for the last 50-60 years in the United States alone. Many popular American urban legends, which include phantom hitchhikers, or is it as a ghostly hitchhiker. Someone picks up a hitchhiker in the dark, rainy night, only to find for the hitchhiker to vanish into thin air. If the driver drops off the hitchhiker at their house, the door is usually opened by a loved one who reveals the hitchhiker has been dead for years. These stories were particularly popular in the 1960s and 70s, when hitchhiking was more of a common thing than it is today. Sometimes the tale is reversed and the hitchhiker discovers the driver is actually the ghost. The Lady in Red. The Lady in Red, or Red Lady, is a type of female ghost typically killed by a jilted lover in a fit of passion, who appears in a blood-red dress. These ghosts are frequently sighted in historic hotels across the United States, though they have been reported in Canada, the UK, and even parts of Asia. And finally, the El Silban. Known as the Whistler or Whistleman, El Silban is a lost soul who roams Venezuela. When El Silban was a boy, he killed his father and was cursed to carry his bones for eternity. If you hear whistling nearby, you're not in danger, but if it sounds far away, El Silban is nearby. There are several versions of this legend. Sometimes El Silban will only appear to kill bad men, while in other stories he arrives at a house to announce the death in a family. What do you think about these spirits? There's a heavy list of spirits, and there's even more out there that I haven't even begun to even label. There's different spirits all over the world in all different cultures. You could do the travels, you could find the books, you could do the research. But no matter where you go in the world, there is some type of living being that is on the other side. And that will do it for today's episode of The Other Side. Thank you guys for listening. Thank you guys for watching. I hope you do enjoy these episodes of this podcast, The Other Side. If you're watching us on YouTube, please hit that like and subscribe button down below if you enjoy this content. If you're watching us on TikTok, please hit that like button if you enjoy this. Please hit that follow button if you want to see more of this content. And guys, I am out of here. And until next time, I hope you guys will join me once again on the other side.